Welcome everyone to the 2018 Preschool Mindfulness Summit. I'm very happy to introduce our next guest, who's a dear friend of mine and somebody that I've worked with for many years and admire. Her name is Elmarie Potgieter. And did I say that right?
That's fine.
Yeah, I always get her name, last name. Not very clear. She's the director of Right Education based in Malaysia. She works all over Asia helping schools and organizations with teacher training. And she's also the creator and founder of ThinkWise, which is a program I'm really excited about, which is for preschool children to help them learn critical thinking and creative thinking skills while they're still in this young age. So today we are going to talk about that program and how it ties in with mindfulness. And Elmarie is going to share with us some strategies parents can use at home or teachers can use in school to help develop this kind of thinking. Of course, as usual, the links to her websites will be below these videos, and she has a wonderful freebie for everybody watching, which I think she'll show you a bit later on in our conversation. So welcome, Elmarie.
Thank you, Helen, for the opportunity to participate in this wonderful event. I'm looking forward to having some conversations and for the ongoing dialogue that could follow beyond this, this conference.
Definitely, yes. So Elmarie, tell us a bit about your journey in education, because I know you started working with older children and now you've developed this program that's for preschool children. So what drew you into that age range?
Yes, as you know, Helen, I've been working in education all my life and in all kinds of roles, from school principal to education advisor to strategy developer, and I've been working on developing national transformation programs in several countries across the world. What got me into the early years agenda is because what I've noticed, especially in the area of thinking skills and emotional intelligence, that are my passionate areas, I've realized that, especially in the Asian market, but I think it is a worldwide phenomenon, there's a lot more willingness to invest in children's education at a later stage. But having been exposed to a lot of work on neuroscience and looking at how learning happens in the brain and how those basic neural patterns develop at a very early age, for me, I realized the intervention needs to be at a very young age. There's a lot of research, and as neuroscience develops and people pay more heed to the findings of lots of research is being done, I think more and more people realize they've got to look at intervening at a very young age. And sometimes parents also, we live in a world where we're so busy and we're so engaged with our work and having smartphones and tablets and things. Our work invades our life all day long, and often we just don't know what to do. We don't have enough time to actually intervene or support our children's learning. My aim is just to come up with a really practical program, practical strategies, stuff that we can do that we will know make a very important difference to our children's lives. And that's where I come from. I've worked with early years children in the Emirates, here in Malaysia, and it's really, if I could make a little bit of a difference there and could get policy and governments to start saying that's where we should invest, I think that would make me a very happy person. So that is what ThinkWise is also about. There's a very good quote by Brito. He's a neuroscientist, and he said, genes predict our brain development, but it is the experience that sculpts it. And that is so true. We can teach thinking skills. We can develop those neural patterns in children at a very young age. And almost like, if you think of it as a scaffold that you build the rest of your brain on. The earlier we can intervene and create those neural patterns, that would set the tone for the child's development for the rest of their lives. Yes, we know brains can change. Yes, we know there's this concept of plasticity and you can rewire your brain, and yes, you can, you can do that. But why wait to rewire it if you can set it up right from the start? So.
I totally agree. Yeah, great advice, Elmarie. And I think it's so important that, yeah, why not give these children that base? And I watched actually an interesting video. I'll post a link to it here about a man trying to relearn how to ride a bicycle. And he just couldn't do it. But his son, his preschool son, it took him 6 months to, rewire his brain to be able to make the bike move in a different way. And his preschool son figured it out in 2 weeks. So it just shows you the difference in children's brains, and how easy it is for them to learn new things and create new neural pathways. So yeah, I'm really passionate about this as well. As Elmarie knows, we're always having these types of conversations. So tell us a bit more about the ThinkWise program and what it contains and how it brings in mindfulness aspects. Well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the tendency often in a lot of these programs that exist out there is that they are very siloed. People would focus on one particular area, but would not think about the interconnectedness of learning and development, and cognitive and social and emotional development. So you might have a program that is set up to teach thinking through mind maps, or you could have a program that focuses on certain strategies or structures like Edward de Bono's programs. And I'm not saying it's not good, not at all. But what I'm saying is that thinking doesn't happen in isolation. Thinking is not something that you develop, that you do in a period in the week or a time of the day. Because in order to think, you've got to be centered, you've got to be mindful, you've got to develop metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. And in order to do that, you have to be mindful, you have to be focused. And that is something that we've got to teach our children. Because today, we all know that the inputs that children receive today from all the various media, social media, apps, games, the way they're bombarded with information, I think creates a more and more uncertain young person. So if they can develop that security in who they are, what they believe, what they feel, that they can label their emotions, that they can have the strategies to deal with all the stress that life brings. So building resilience, and therefore, that sense of security that's so important for us to access higher order thinking. So, and that's where mindfulness plays such a big role, about developing empathy for others, really being able to respond to other people and learning to see how you could develop or understand the perspective of other people. And I don't think there's enough attention being paid to that. I think people see emotional intelligence and mindfulness. Some people see it as, nice little labels and things that people are involved in, but I don't think they realize what the research shows, what meditation does for your brain, how it improves your health and well-being and your relationships with other people. And it's something that, why don't we teach it to kids? We know, and Helen, there are these programs in schools where they've now reverted to, instead of giving discipline or time out or punishment, they teach these kids who show disciplinary problems meditation.
Yeah.
And how that has reformed or transformed schools and disciplinary problems in intercity schools in the US. So, I'm just like, why try and fix the problem? Start right and set children up, teach them these structures. And that's what ThinkWise does. We've done a lot of research. I've traveled the world and had so much opportunity to study with so many different people. And I thought you cannot just look at one thing or approach the problem from one perspective. So the Think Wise program is a really comprehensive program that builds emotional intelligence, that develops children's literacy skills, that develops metacognition, but also gives them 10 thinking structures that once this is embedded through continued use, would provide a structure for them to approach any critical or creative thinking problem that they might encounter in the future. So that's what the program is all about. We looked at visible thinking structures. We looked at de Bono's work and thinking structures. We looked at some cooperative learning structures. We looked at emotional intelligence, and we've put this all together in this exciting program.
It's a beautiful program. I've seen it. So tell us, give some of the parents and teachers maybe some practical strategies that they can use at home or in the classroom.
Yes, absolutely. So the thing that we've got to understand is that the parent is the primary educator of the child, and that the learning that happens at school is just a small component of the development of the child. And children learn from what they see in their parents, isn't it? So I think what are the things that you can do to just promote thinking in your child's life is, I think first of all is setting up the right environment in your house, in your how. So by an environment, I don't necessarily mean the physical environment, but it's an environment where children know there's not just necessarily one right answer, and that children are encouraged to ask questions. We know that research shows young children ask many more questions than what older children do, right? So a child is born a question mark and ends up a full stop, and we don't want life to be like that. So create an encouraging, supportive environment where you teach children to ask questions and follow up with questions so that you can dig deeper. I think that is really, a mistake should be seen as an opportunity for learning. So if a child, for example, and you get your daughter or your son to draw a picture, and they might draw a picture of an adult and color the person in green, or the sun is blue, or instead of saying no, that's not right, try to find out why did they choose that particular color. So, oh, you made the sun blue. That's very interesting. Can you tell me more about it? Why did you choose that color? How does that color make you feel? And instead of saying, no, the sun is yellow. I mean, who says the sun is yellow? So that's that supportive environment where mistakes are learning opportunities. So a child feels, first and foremost, safe. And I mean, that is so important. We know that if a child feels stress and pressure, and which could be by fearing that they are wrong, or the way that the parent responds to it, the amygdala kicks in, and the fight, flight, and fright response is activated, and the child simply cannot access the higher order thinking skills. So that's the first thing. I think also be a role model. It's not just about do what I say, it's about modeling thinking skills yourself. Question yourself out loud. I wonder what that would mean. What if I did that? I thought this. So model thinking yourself and be very verbal. This is the idea. I think I'm going to compare and contrast. Use those thinking skills and that vocabulary in your own communication with your children. Be their thinking voice. Sometimes there's a difference that they can't necessarily verbalize what they are thinking, but you could be the voice. You can say to them, you're very clever. I see you trying to solve the problem. I can see that you've been, so you become their thinking voice, and you could build those structures in. make it interesting and fun. I mean, it's not all just about learning and about structured thinking and about, I mean, today some children, they go from school to tutoring and from tutoring to, their lives are so stressful. So the more they laugh, if they laugh, we know the brain secretes dopamine and serotonin, and that just makes a happier child. So, but what we do with a program is actually produced a set of thinking cards. So we've got these strategies, and we are going to give you some of these as a freebie. So what we've done is we have developed 10 thinking strategies, and we've connected this with a little character. So each character represents a different thinking style or thinking structure. Mary Moore, for example, represents the thinking structure, tell me more. So Mary is the character who would always say, oh, that's very interesting. Tell me more about what you're thinking. That's where we start. And as we go on, it builds in complexity. So Mary Moore would just get the children to start thinking about their own thinking. How are you feeling today? Tell me more about it. Why are you feeling this? Why are you saying that? And don't pressurize the child. Why are you feeling this? But help them and scaffold the process for them. So with Mary Moore and Tell Me More, we have these lovely cards for the parent where they can, sometimes you just don't know what to do. So we've got 5 thinking activities for each of these structures. So we have, for example, during story time, at home, when you are doing shopping, when you are in the car, when you're out and about, when you are exploring. So very handy to just pick one of these cards and think, okay, what am I going to do now? How can I support my child when we're going to go shopping? So that's a great learning opportunity for kids. So that's Mary Moore. And then we've got Lucky Luke, who takes a closer look. The whole thinking skill here is the ability to focus on detail and to see the big picture. So I zoom in, I can show them little a puzzle piece, or I can close a big picture and just show them a piece of the picture and ask them, what do you think this is? Tell me more about it. Why do you think this? And then they see the big picture and they can say, what is the change? For example, show a picture of an elephant. And we actually have, with this program, this poster book. And I mean, I'm not trying to advertise the program, but I'm just trying to show an example. So if you show the children the elephant, but you just show a piece of the skin, and you cover the entire picture, and then the child will say, what do they think this is? And then when you show the whole picture, they can say, this is an elephant. I didn't know this was an elephant. I thought it was a piece of, it was whatever, it was fabric and then to talk to them about what have you learned from this, and how can you, so that's Lucky Luke, and we give the parents, again, a lot of activities that they can try. We have, for example, Pinky Links, where we actually help the parents, give them ideas for children to make their own mind maps. It can be with physical objects, or it could be on a piece of paper. We have Kenny Question that always asks what, when, where, what, and how. One of my very big favorites is Ben Pretend. So Ben Pretend pretends to be other people. He climbs into the skin of other people. This is Ben Pretend. And what are we learning here? What are we teaching them here is to take perspectives of other people. Because we know that the emotional environment of children up to 7 years old, they find it very hard to accept it or to learn to see things from other perspectives. And it's a crucial thinking skill for empathy. For even, I mean, it's the first step in design thinking is to develop empathy. So Ben Pretend climbs into the shoes of other people. And if you were or people, objects, or animals, if you're in the zoo, and if you were the lion, what would you be thinking?
Yeah.
If you were the cleaner, what would you be thinking? You were that person feeding the animals. If you were the person who wants to make money out of selling the animals to the zoo. If you, so you can imagine what amazing learning experiences there are for children. So once they learn these 10 thinking strategies, it becomes part of their neural pathways. So they automatically start thinking, okay, I don't just say something, I've got to think about my own thinking. And that's what the program is basically about.
Right. Wow. Sounds exciting. So much valuable information there. And I agree, like once those kind of thoughts and questions become habits in young children, then it's really a great base for them to carry them forward once they move up to primary and secondary school. And they always come back to those kind of questioning skills.
And we also, Ellen, we also developed a program for schools, a curriculum guide that is mapped against American standards, the UK standards. It's a universal program that has a lesson a day for the teachers around these thinking skills. So it's mapped against the science outcomes, literacy outcomes, and a little lesson that always starts with the mindfulness. It always starts with centering and getting quiet and sharing with others and passing the beanbag around, saying, nice to be with you today, how are you feeling today, getting quiet, singing the Think Wise song, getting themselves in the, to experience that feeling of, okay, we're now really focusing on our thinking, centering your thoughts, getting ready for thinking, and then these activities, that all the resources are there for the teachers. So somebody says to you, how am I going to teach my child or the children in school to think? How do I promote critical and creative thinking? Some teachers just wouldn't know. I mean, we might have an idea, but how do we go about this in a structured and a meaningful way? So we have this, we've got workbooks for the kids, we've got assessment frameworks, we've got ways in which the students can record their own thinking. So we've built some of the Reggio Emilia processes in where the teachers documenting the learning of the children. So far so good. We've been piloting the program, and parents come back and say, what's happening to my child? Suddenly they're saying, tell me more about it. Why are you saying what you're saying?
Right.
I guess that's my big idea for the world, is if the parents go through this program with the children, it improves the level of communication and interaction.
Very important. Great, thank you. Can you just finish off by just telling us what would be your number one tip to give to a parent who is at home with a toddler or preschooler and they want to engage in this kind of dialogue to create this kind of calm place where they can think? What would you start with?
I would say, I guess for some people that might be a very contradictory statement, but I really believe in structure. I think a child needs structure when they are young. And I think you need to also you should look at your day and find those golden moments, those golden opportunities for thinking. So often today, young children do not have structure. They don't have a sleeping routine. They don't have, and a routine provides a sense of security and safety. So, this is time. Not that thinking happens in a separate, but we're going to do our think wise, or we're going to blow our bubbles, and we're going to be calm and quiet, and so I think you have to think about this. It doesn't happen automatically. You've got to think about that structure. Children need to sleep enough. Children need to eat healthy. They need to be restricted in terms of access to devices, especially when they're younger than 2 years old. Today, I'm very concerned about the fact that young children are so, you've got a replacement parent in terms of the iPhone and the apps, and psychologists and neurologists are extremely concerned about that. So I'd say structure, routine, and try and make most moments a learning moment with your child. That to me is really important.
I love that, Elmarie, and I think sometimes we think, oh, it's like this huge other thing I have to do, but as you said, it can just be moments throughout the day. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. It's just really thinking about it beforehand, isn't it? Like when I should ask this question, this type of question. You can just bring it in minutes, right? It's only 1 or 2 minutes.
It's not a huge extra thing. It's just utilizing those. You know, teachers ask thousands of questions in a year. Ask the right questions. And it's not just about asking the questions, it's giving children the opportunity to ask questions. Giving and responding in the right way to their questions or their answers, you know. So children are amazing. They have so much more capacity to do things than what we will ever imagine. So don't underestimate your child. Also, I think still be the parent. You know, still be the parent. That's so important. They need that. So that's what I would say.
All right. Well, great. Thank you so much, Elmarie, for all those great ideas and for sharing your program, which I'm sure is going to change many lives all over the world. It's a great program, and we'll put more details about that in the comments, so you can contact Elmarie if you want to get more information. And as she mentioned, we'll be putting the parent cards on there so you can try out some of the strategies yourself at home and see how they work for you. So thanks again, Elmarie, for joining us.
Thank you, Helen, and thank you for the opportunity. And it was great to have this opportunity to share with you and with the people out there. So thank you, Helen.